Welcome to the Hamptons Farm Estate. I'm really excited to show you through all of the different spaces and different rooms, help with some design tips, and really help guide you through how you can actually create your own homes in this sort of style. This particular home was really designed to really be a figment of my imagination. I was so excited that I had the opportunity to actually build a huge Hamptons estate, not just a suburban house, but an actual estate. And you'll get to start getting a feel of the size and enormity of this particular property as we start going through. So, the great room. Now, the great rooms are always that American, very big, large, over the top sort of a room. And this isn't that over the top, but it is on a large scale. So this particular room itself is what I would call the northern wing. And we've got quite a lot jam-packed into this space. One of the things that I really intended to do is that I wanted such a long and wide room to then be able to really layer in everything that I wanted to layer into. So the great room is a lounge room. It doesn't have to be formal. In fact, this particular space is really a casual, relaxed room, but it's very heavily layered. Couple of the things and elements that I wanted in this room was a fireplace, a mantle on a fireplace was really important to me. Again, one of the reasons is because I love to style and decorate mantles, and I think that that gives you a beautiful feel. A round table that was going to separate rooms, and I will show you as we go through this space. We've got the three-seater sofas, we've got 2 chaises, 2 single seats, and we have a couple of cane chairs. The reason that we have a lot of layers and textures in this room is to not formalize it too much, but to bring a casual, more of a Bahamas feel twist into the room. And some people might term it as being a British colonial feel. It has more of that, again, Bahamas feel, but it just gives you that natural element and texture that really then lightens up the whole space. So with that, I wanted to make sure that we had 2 separate areas, but were also really quite combined. So down on this end, we have the 3-seater sofa. And one thing I love to use is consoles at the backs of sofas. The reason I love to do this is so that we can actually create some height into a space. It's really important when you're styling to use a couple of really specific things. Lamps is a great way to give height. Using books to layer pieces on. Ginger jars are also a really key element with the Hamptons style, but also then adding in things like a bit of greenery, some shells, some coral, things that you love that are going to create those vignettes of spaces. One of the things that's really important within the room is that they need to talk together. So it's no point in having very different furniture styles on either end. The whole room actually needs to talk to itself and really start working together. So wherever you have a seat, you need to look at having a side table. You need to think about the space and its functionality as well as its form. So that when you do have people over, it's thinking about, well, where will they sit and put a cup of coffee? Where will they sit down, have a glass of wine, open a book? Where are they going to do those things, and how is that going to relate in the room? So you'll see through this space, in most areas you'll find where there's a sofa or a chair or a chaise, there will be a space that you can, again, functionally pop a glass of wine down, pop a coffee cup down, read a book, and it's a very casual feel. So then walking through the space, again, I've added in a couple of beautiful cane chairs in this area. Again, I love bringing those natural elements and textures into the room. I think it's really important when you've got a lot of upholstered pieces to bring in those natural elements. The other thing you'll probably note is that we've actually used some very bespoke fabric, customized lampshades. Again, this is something that I really like to do because, again, bringing in that customization really throws that designer detail. It's also another way that you can add another layer, another texture, and another beautiful fabric into the space. So here what we've done on these lounges, and beforehand you might have seen in some of our other images the natural colorways, and now what we're doing is we're using the blue colorways. So instead of just having a plain blue and white, which would probably look a little dull on this sofa, we've added in some beautiful pops of green so that we can really start looking outside and seeing those beautiful green fields and then coming in with the beautiful green cushions. One of the other things that we've done in here, and again this is creating the two spaces but pulling it into one, is we've used layers of rugs. Jute rugs is always a great way to actually bring in those natural textures, but then layering in some of these beautiful blue and white rugs, and again in a stripe to add that other luxury of texture, again pulls all of those colorways together. One of the things that I love in this space is this round table, and again to give it a lot of height, we needed to emulate some height in this room because of these huge 8-meter ceilings, and pulling in some beautiful foliage again adds in the green, but it also gives you that heightened space. One of the other things that I love to use is a lot of coffee table books. In fact, what I always get my clients to do is to jump onto a bookstore or online or Amazon and just accumulate at least anywhere between 20 to 50 coffee table books. The sizes of these books will probably vary, but around about the 30 centimetre by 20 centimetre. And also look at the binds and the rims of the colours so that you can actually start coordinating and matching through the colours of your room. I always ask them to get things that they're going to enjoy and love, you know, not anything that's really random. Sometimes, you know, husbands will pick like motorsports or boating, which is fine as long as they're a pretty cover. But look, think about things that you're going to actually like to read, and you would probably like, you know, somebody else that's coming into your home to read. It's always a great way to actually use those pieces again to give height and lots of layering within your tables or coffee tables that you're going to use. So another thing that I love to do is to create a little bit of interest, and using glass or glass cloches to be precise is a really fun way to actually encompass a beautiful piece. We've got some blue coral in here, and I think that they're, you know, gorgeous, really interesting things, but again we've matched that in with another piece of coral. So again, when you're creating those vignettes, it's all about what's going to relate to what on that table. The other thing that I like to do is obviously having a little couple of stools. Again, these are great things that you can again layer up as you go into the home to again, you know, just create interest is really what you're trying to do. Every space that you're looking at, it's not clutter, it's just layering, and layering those beautiful elements that you love that other people are going to come in and start touching and feeling, very tactile, so that they can start thinking about, oh wow, look at that, and how does that feel, where did you get that from? So all the pieces start to tell a story. So then when we come to having a look at coffee tables, another thing that I love is obviously bowls of shells. Again, they're very, very tactile. So, you know, they're things that people can, you know, pick up and touch and feel. And again, it's a natural element. One thing that you'll really notice within this room, even though it's really large, it also really works together. And the one key element in that is things that are the same. So things like the cushions, even though, again, they're very different and we've got lots of different patterns, one of the things that I love to do is use a stripe with a pattern with something that's a little bit more geometric. And things are not matchy-matchy, but things again that look like they're placed with purpose, but they also create an interest. But every single sofa has an element or one of the colorways with all the sofas, so they all talk together. The other thing that we've done is that we've actually used some really fantastic rugs and some throw rugs. And again, these are pieces that again create interest, textile, texture, but again on a lot of the chairs we've actually thrown in again some blue and white throws just to again pull it all in so all the whole space speaks together. So I hope that that actually helps you when you're looking at rooms, when you're thinking about design. Think about the way that you want to live and entertain and be in. And then if you do have a large space, one of the key things, whether it's large or small, is to make sure that you've got furniture that's actually chunky enough to actually fit into that room. Remember, the trick that designers do is that the smaller the room, the bigger the furniture. If you have a little room and you're putting in little pieces, it's just going to make it look smaller. So if you have a small room, think about bigger pieces. Even if you can only fit a sofa and one chair, it's much better than having a little two-seater and another little two-seater. It'll just make it look really cramped. So I hope that that gives you a couple of ideas about how to style larger spaces, how to create blue and white, how to add in other textures and colours, and start styling up your spaces with lots of love.